Hello and welcome to a game between Kumar and Ahmed. And it's the King's Gambit accepted variation. Okay, this is the Gambit, and he's accepted it. And this is a very aggressive opening. It is the kind of opening which White would play in an Armageddon match in a must win situation, like Nakamura did against Carlsen in the recent tournament. We have it right here, this game. This is 365chess.com. Nakamura versus Carlsen, 11th Norway Armageddon, 6th January or 1st June. We don't know. But here we go. He takes the pawn and then defends it with g5. You see, this is the kind of situation where the pawn, which is a gambit, you can try to hold on to it, maybe, you know. So yeah, you see, it's quite a wild game. It leads to positional structures which are uh, non-standard. So your real chess skill is tested, and familiarity with the positions matters. Practice would matter, you know. So this is a kind of thing to keep in mind. Now, that being said, if we go back to the game right here, after knight f3, as I looked at this, I saw your move d5 and I thought, well, doesn't seem too bad. And in fact, I think that's what I would do on most occasions. The idea of g5 wasn't even really, I mean, it's too ambitious, right? Well, I don't know what I'm doing. How can I do that? And that's true, actually. You need to know the opening if you're going to play like this. D5 is solid and makes sense. Now, what do the statistics say? You know, we are all about statistics here. And here, after knight f3, the stats say g5 is the most frequently played and has a pretty good win percentage for black. Whereas d5 is the second most popular move, but has a pretty mediocre percentage for black, statistically. And d6 is a more sub variation, which also has pretty good results for black. d6 and g5 normally go hand in hand anyway, so it's part of the same idea. So, yeah, just a side note there. Now, d5, the variation here is, d5 is a move more frequently played by the old guard, the people from the yesteryears, from Aronian, Mickey Adams, Boris Gelfand, people from uh, not modern day chess, not modern times. Uh, Now we have an early advance here, and I don't know if this is optimal for white. Probably not. Yeah, more normal would be to take it. Take it, capture back, and then, or maybe actually you shouldn't capture back. You should come out with the knight, and then you come with the bishop, and then maybe you capture, or something like this. But advanced variation, and now, yeah, this is okay. I think g5 is the main idea, though. G5 is the main idea in this whole setup. Try to hold on to that pawn, but manage the tactical complications that arise. Now we have a situation where you capture this pawn here, and I want to teach you a concept. You see, your opponent has played c3, the much talked about c3 move, and he's got this nice pawn chain, right? Now, you never play c3. You always play knight c3 while keeping the pawn at home. And, the drawback of this is for white is that, well, white has to develop in a more slow manner or something, right? I think it's just fine, personally. But in principle, yes, the knight is sort of most reaching the farthest to the sun from there. Yeah. So you don't want to make it easy for him to get there by killing in the center and then making it such a natural position for him. You want to delay that. You want to play waiting moves here. Like knight c6 is pretty solid. Uh, many other options. Just try to develop these other pieces instead first. Mm, I'll admit it's a bit tricky to figure out how to develop it when you don't know whether to play this or and allow that, but you got it. Yeah. Anyway, now you're playing a wild move. Knight h6 is a really wild move. It's really grandmasterly, wannabe grandmasterly. I mean, this kind of follow up. Look at this, attacking the central pawn, which is defended by the knight and the queen. It's ambitious. It's an ambitious attack, but somehow the knight holds its own over here. All right. So a natural move from your opponent, but it turns out to be a minor weakness because you can capture here. And if he captures back with a pawn, your queen can come in with check, and that will disturb the king. Because if the bishop returns back, then your knight captures, and he loses the rook if he tries to capture back. So, key thing to keep in mind, if you're going to play like a grandmaster, you got to follow it up. You can't just be all talk. You got to have the final game, the final show. So instead, we're not going to make a decision here. We're just going to continue playing normal chess, play normal chess, and sort of just holding on here in a way. Really, really holding on because now it's a complex tactical position, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I can't tell you with certainty what the best move is here. It's not easy. But anyway, computer suggests you should take the bishop, take this, then you go here, check, you take back, and then he'll take here. Okay, that's sort of the position where you end up at. But yeah, fortunately for you, you didn't have to deal with too much super complex stuff, and it ended up being a position like this. Now you've still got the ace, you've still got that pawn in your side. This is the main reason to have the bishop here, is so that you can trade it off for a knight at the right moment, so that you can take this. This is not here to be looking at the stars. Are you here to work, or are you here to be looking at the stars? Literally, your bishop. You have to keep asking yourself the question: do I want to trade? Is there something I'm targeting? And yes, there is. So don't go back like this, Don't go back. Look at that. But that's a blunder. So you won the game. Yip-de-doo. All right. I hope this was useful.